Hi everybody. So today I'm going to go over how to track your progress and some of the mistakes people make when they are tracking their progress. But before we get started, like the video, subscribe, and comment below. So first I want to go over some of the things not to do when you're tracking your progress. So one of the first things is people only using body weight. So we don't want to solely use body weight to track progress. Also, a lot of times people only take it maybe weekly. So we'll go ahead and get into a little bit why weekly measurements usually aren't the greatest. But because we could be adding muscle mass, there could be water fluctuations. Weight isn't really the only thing we want to go by. Also, we don't want to go by the mirror. Our mind can play tricks on us. So just judging based on the mirror, we see ourselves every day. Our perception could be different. I'm also not a fan of using body fat measurements. So whether that's just like a handheld device, a scale, which are usually the most convenient, or even like a DEXA scan, which is considered one of the most accurate, but still has very, very high error rates. And something like that's not very practical. So the issue with body fat percentage is there's not one method out there that's accurate for tracking progress. So I just wouldn't even really worry about it. It's nice for curiosity's sake, but not for tracking progress. So what should we do? First, weight is a very valuable tool. However, we have to understand there's going to be large fluctuations day to day based on fluid intake, sodium intake, stress, inflammation from training, or just inflammation in general, bowel movements or lack of bowel movements. There's a lot of factors that come into play that affect weight. So if by taking in daily weigh-in, we can then look at a 7-day average. So that'll smooth out those fluctuations, and then we can use that average week to week and compare those values to see if we're making progress or not. This can be tracked in an Excel spreadsheet, which is my preferred way to do it, but there's also apps like Happy Scale on iOS, and I think Libra on Android is another one, which will give you a trend over time. But again, this is something simple that you could just do in Google Sheets or Excel. Next, pictures are much, much better than just looking in the mirror. You can then, week by week, look at side-by-side photos, and you'll be able to notice subtle differences. Now, when you take pictures, make sure it's in consistent lighting, consistent posing, clothing, everything being the same. In terms of lighting, you generally want to avoid anything that casts a lot of shadows. So ideally, you would have the light source, you would have you, the camera, and the light source. So an easy way is place the phone on like a windowsill and then just set a timer, and then you could take photos that way. You could even take a video. The only issue with that is, especially now in winter, we don't have much daylight. So if you're taking pictures early in the morning, you're not going to have that daylight, and it might not be as consistent. So you could set up in a room that has a lot of lighting in front of you, or like a ring light or something like that. Most important thing, just keep it well lit and keep it consistent. Now, measurements is the third thing I would track. And this could be waist measurements, chest, arms, legs, anything. For specifically fat loss or fat gain, waist measurement is going to be the biggest one. And this is important because waist measurements, again, it's a very good predictor of fat loss or gain, even despite weight loss or gain. So oftentimes I'll see clients, their waist measurement will go down for a given week, but there might not be any scale changes. Someone even with a novel stimulus, new to training, they might even gain a little bit of weight, but waist circumference is coming down. So in that scenario, we know fat loss is still occurring, and it prevents us from making unnecessary changes as far as the diet's concerned. Some other good things to measure are subjective measures of things like stress, sleep, hunger, and energy levels. stress and sleep especially have a very large impact on weight loss, fat loss. So if there's a week where maybe the scale didn't move the way direction you wanted it to, but it was also a very stressful week, you didn't get a lot of sleep, that's something where maybe that week you don't drop calories because that would just add to the stress. Or you don't do more cardio or more training because, again, that's going to add to the stress. You do what you can to manage that stress, and if you can't, just ride it out and don't dig yourself a bigger recovery hole. Tracking hunger and energy levels are good too, because if you're really, really hungry, it might not be a good idea to drop calories at that point. So you just want to be aware of those things, and that could be just written down in a journal. The next thing you must absolutely track is your training sessions. You absolutely need a training log, whether that's pen and paper, an app, or notes on your phone. I prefer pen and paper, less distractions. But regardless of how you track it, you need to be tracking your workouts. The key to muscle growth, or just training in general, is that you get progressively stronger. So having that logbook is going to keep you accountable with the weights, the reps you got the last session, and your goal each and every session is to beat that. So do not enter a gym without some sort of plan, without some sort of logging, just so you know what your goal is that session. So that wraps up tracking progress. This was a short video, but I went over the important things that I think everybody should be tracking, whether the goal is fat loss or muscle gain. The easiest way to track this, in my opinion, is just put everything in an Excel spreadsheet. You could put like the weeks in one column, and then like the rows, you could do dates or vice versa. And then when you are determining if changes need to be made to the plan or not, these would be the factors you would go off of. So look at, what did my average weigh-in look like compared to last week? How do my pictures look? What are measurements doing? Is my waist measurement going up or down? How is my training performance? Am I improving in the gym? Am I getting stronger? Is there any exercises where I'm stalling? And then also, how is my sleep this week? Was it a stressful week? How is hunger? How is energy levels? Those are all going to be very important in determining, one, if you're making progress, and two, if you're not making progress, you have the tools available to determine kind of what needs to be changed to continue progress. So if you got anything from this video, like the video, subscribe, comment below with any questions. If you'd like any further videos similar to this, want me to expand on anything, let me know. But thanks for watching.